Have you ever felt like you've hit rock bottom? That feeling when the weight of every past mistake, every single failure, just crashes down on you. I know that feeling. I remember sitting in that dimly lit room, a ghost haunted by my own past. The memories played on a loop in my head. The project that crashed and burned, the presentation where I froze in front of everyone, the personal losses that left me feeling completely alone. Each flashback was a fresh wave of humiliation, a reminder of every time I wasn't good enough. My reflection showed a stranger, someone whose eyes had lost their spark, filled only with a deep, hollow sadness. Hope felt like a word from a foreign language, something I could no longer understand or feel. It seemed easier to just give up, to accept that this was my story, a tale of defeat. But sometimes, when you're in the deepest darkness, a tiny crack of light appears. For me, it wasn't a grand revelation. It was small, almost insignificant. I stumbled upon an old guitar, tucked away and forgotten in a corner of my closet, covered in dust. I hadn't touched it in years. My fingers felt clumsy on the strings at first. The sounds I made were discordant and rough. There were moments of sheer frustration. Moments I wanted to just put it back and forget. But something inside me refused. A tiny, stubborn ember of determination began to glow. So I practiced day after day. My fingers bled. My mind raced. But I kept going. I watched tutorials. I learned chords. I pieced together melodies. Slowly, painfully, the clumsy noises started to sound like music. Each small victory, like nailing a difficult chord or playing a short tune without a mistake, was a lifeline. It was more than just learning an instrument. It was me learning to believe in myself again, one note at a time. Confidence wasn't a switch I could flip. It was something I had to build, strum by strum. Then came the moment of truth. A local coffee shop was hosting an open mic night. The old me would have laughed at the thought. The very idea of performing in front of people, inviting their judgment, was terrifying. I could already hear the whispers, the reminders of my past failures from people who knew my story. Isn't that the guy who... The skepticism was a heavy cloak, threatening to smother that tiny flame of confidence I had so carefully nurtured. Doubt was a loud, screaming voice in my head. But a new voice, quieter but steadier, whispered back, "What if you succeed?" The night before, I barely slept. I was a bundle of nerves, my hands shaking. I practiced until my fingers were raw, my voice hoarse. It was a battle against my own demons, a montage of pure, unfiltered effort. I had to prove to myself more than anyone that I was more than the sum of my failures. This wasn't just about playing a song, it was about rewriting my own narrative. Stepping onto that small stage felt like stepping into a lion's den. The lights were bright, the faces in the crowd a blur. My heart was pounding against my ribs like a drum solo. I took a deep breath, closed my eyes for a second, and just began. The first few notes were shaky, but then something shifted. The music took over. My fingers moved with a familiarity I hadn't realized they'd gained. The melody flowed, and my voice, once filled with self-doubt, carried the raw emotion of my journey. When the last chord faded, there was a moment of silence. It felt like an eternity, and then applause. Not just polite clapping, but genuine, warm applause. It was a sound I hadn't heard in so long. It was the sound of acceptance, of a breakthrough. That night was the beginning of a new chapter. It wasn't about fame or proving anyone wrong. It was about finding my voice, literally and figuratively. Now, when I look in the mirror, I don't see a failure. I see someone who fell and got back up. I'm surrounded by people who see me for who I am now, not who I was. The future isn't a scary, unknown void anymore. It's an open road filled with possibilities and hope. My story isn't about never falling. It's about the resilience we find when we choose to stand up, pick up the pieces, and create something beautiful from the wreckage. Remember, your past doesn't define your future. You do. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories of resilience.